And I think that anybody who's selling that kind of story to you is trying to sell you something. Anybody who would tell you that you're not going to have these moments and feel the pain and feel the grief deep in places that you didn't even know existed, they're lying to you. Today is hard to make this video because I find myself in touch with a lot of feelings that I wasn't trying to feel. You know, there's something about getting down the road from your grief and from the heat of your grief at least, and having to backtrack and go back into those rooms that you narrowly escaped from and that you almost didn't escape from, and feel like you left some boogeymen in the closets, you know, and you got to go back in those rooms, and it's scary because it feels like, you know, what if that time swallows me again? And what if I narrowly made it out that time, but not going to make it out if I go back in those rooms, you know? And there really is something to be said about once you've experienced some of your grieving or you've gotten over some of the worst parts of your grieving, not to go back and pick the scab. Like, I've got a whole playlist from the early days of my healing journey when I was like, you know, I got a word from my spiritual father about don't pick the scab. You know, you don't go back picking at the healing, looking for the pain to come back and validate itself again, or prove that it was real and that it did exist and that you really did come through it. Like, there is that dynamic of not going and picking the scab again. But then there's this other part of it where, you know, the Spirit of God has brought you out of these terrible times and brought you out of certain death, and, you know, puts water on the inside of you to come and help cool the fires for those who are going through their own terrible storms, you know. And I'm finding, as I'm doing this channel, which is about grief and about coming through grief and getting out of your grief, overcoming your grief, and finding a life that you actually want to live. I find that going into these rooms myself, it becomes scary again, you know. And I'm living a very different life than I was, you know, 10 years ago when all of this, 12 years ago, honestly, for me, when all of this started. Very different life, living in a different country, look like a different person, feel like a different person on most days, you know. But I find myself going through photos sometimes, you know, iPhone loves to make a movie for you. Featured photos, you know, they love to make a photo movie for you. Going through those and even reading, you know, my story over again, because for those of you who are new here, I wrote a book about all of the early steps of coming through enormous grief, losing my husband, and then my best friend, who was also my spiritual father, and then my mom, all in 2 years, you know. And, you know, we're in the, you know, let's publish this whole thing. Let's get people out of their own traps and dark pits and all that kind of stuff. And I find myself having to go back through this stuff and relive it. And it is hard. It's hard because there's still pain there. And I am learning as I am going through various stages of my healing journey that there's may always be pain there. And it's, you know, not going to, hear me, it's not anywhere near like it was when this whole thing started and when my serious healing started, which was about 5 years ago, where I was intentionally seeking therapy and intentionally seeking, to put these days behind me. It's nothing like that at all. But I do find that there is a pain that's there that seems like it just lives on the inside and waits for a moment when you are either unguarded or just honestly just really in touch. Just, frankly, just really in touch with it. And I think that that's not necessarily a bad thing. I think that it makes you human, and it puts you in touch with the grieving that other people are going through for sure. It debunks this whole myth of, I'm going to pop out of this and I'm just going to live my best life. I'm never going to look back, and, I'm just going to just forward ahead. It just, that's not life. That's not real life. And I think that anybody who's selling that kind of story to you is trying to sell you something, But real life is ebbs and flows, and there are good days and there are bad days. There are better days and less bad days. There are fantastic days, and there are days when there's no pain at all. There's weeks when there's no pain at all. And, all of it is part of the healing experience. But I think that anybody who would tell you that you're not going to have these moments and these times when you're going to feel what you feel and feel the pain and feel the grief deep in places that you didn't even know existed, they're lying to you. And, for me, that's been today. As I prepare to record today and, do this whole thing, that's been me today. And I have had to do what I always do, which is start talking to God and telling him the truth of it and telling him how I really feel and how I feel frustrated and how I feel mad and how I feel angry that, I'm going back into these rooms when all I really want to feel is good. Frankly, all I want to feel is good. I cried so many tears, and I thought I would never be able to cry again. I cried so many tears, and I was suicidal so many nights, and I was inconsolable so many days. I was beside myself in grief. I used to cry myself to work, on the freeway as I went to work every day. I would cry myself all the way to work for 45 minutes and then all the way back home another hour through rush hour traffic. And it would just be tears, 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 tears. And Lord of mercy, I cried my whole ass heart out. And I found joy later, I found really good days. I moved to a place that's really beautiful and that feeds my soul and feeds my healing and soothes my heart and makes me, come into the present and recognize that the dark days are over, that those dark days are over. And all of it is wonderful. And I, was angry today with God about all I want to do is feel good. All I want to do is feel good. I don't want to feel sad anymore. I don't want to feel that deep ache deep in the bottom of my heart and deep in my soul. I don't want to feel those things anymore. I only want to feel good, and I only want to feel happy. And I was just really honest with him, and I was like, I'm mad. I'm mad. I'm mad that I don't feel like that today. And I asked him for help, honestly. I was like, I need your help today, Daddy, to come and talk to the people and come and talk to the women and come and talk to the men who have lost people that they love, have lost whole lives that they've built, have lost identities that they spent decades creating. I don't want to fake it. I want to come real and have something genuine to say to people that I know. If you were anything like where I was, you don't want to ever hear nobody blowing bullshit cornbread at your face, right? Like, just save it. How about just go watch a movie instead of like, bringing that to the table. And I'll never do that with you. I'll never do that with you. My goal ultimately is to demonstrate and to prove and to show you that you can have a life beyond your dark and evil day. That there is a God that loves you and will help you come into that brighter day that you dare to hope for, and to share my steps, my story, and let it provide whatever leg up that it can and does provide to you to help you get out of your evil day and out of your dark moment and out of a time that you don't believe will ever end. That is my goal. My goal is to prove to you that the end of your story is actually not the end of your story, that the end of that story is just the beginning of a new story. And if you are true to yourself, and if you are courageous and bold to do the unconventional things and to step outside of your comfort zone, to cry out to your higher power, the creator, God, the universe, whomever you subscribe to and you ascribe power and love to, crying out to that being, that you're going to find footsteps that become laid out for you that'll lead you out of the pit of despair and darkness and into another kind of life. And that kind of life, hopefully, my prayer for you, I'm always touching my microphone. I'm always like trying to go for my heart and I go for the microphone. That life for you, God willing, is one that you can rest in and one that you can have peace in and one that you don't have to carry any guilt for anything that you didn't do or all the things that you did do, that the accuser isn't dogging your steps and accusing you of terrible things when you didn't do anything wrong, or trying to convince you that you didn't love your person or you didn't take care of the life that you were given to take care of as well as you should have and could have. And, you have to spend the rest of the time that you have on this earth paying for it. Like, that's not love. That's not God. And my hope and my prayer for you is that you get out of that little stir crazy that I personally found myself in, and that you come to a place that you can breathe and that you can find joy that lifts your hearts, and that you can build a life for yourself that you actually want to live in, and that will make the people that have gone before you, if you're grieving loved ones, proud to know that you recognize that they are not carrying any ill will towards you past this life, and that you're free. You're free to be, you're free to have joy, you're free to live, you're free to create a new life, you're free to enjoy that new life, you're free to make new friends, You're free to marry again if you lost your spouse. You are free to marry again if you divorced. You're free to create new life if you lost a young one. You know, you're free. You're free. You're free. You're free to start over again if the life that you built fell apart and there's only shards laying on the ground remaining. You're free. You're free to start again. And so I just want to leave you with a blessing today, a very brief one today, for you and for me and for us, for all of us, that the creator of the heavens and the earth and all that there is would touch you today and bring healing and rest and peace and joy into your life. That your heart that feels heavy and like it's got stones in the bottom of it would be supernaturally lightened, and that the healer would come and touch and heal and deliver your mind, your soul, your spirit, and your body from every weight and from every heavy care of this life, and that you would be free from guilt, and that your dark days would be fewer, your sad days would be less, and your beautiful days and your good days and your happy days would multiply. So, God bless you, God bless you, God bless you. I'm Dr. Sarah Samantha Anne. If this touched you, this resonated with you, please like, share, subscribe, hit the little buttons, and I'll see you again. God bless.